And I'm just basically choosing, positivity over anything else. I mean, life is too short.
Mm.
That's a saying that a lot of people may overuse, but that's the reality. In our profession, the days are very long, but the years are very short. So we have to make the most of it every single chance we get.
Welcome to the Jamodi Podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is Jamodi, just a matter of doing it.
Today we are joined by the athletic director of Andrews ISD and former high school basketball coach, Jaime Boswell. Coach Boswell has 32 years of coaching experience. In his 23 years as a head coach, his overall record was 405 wins and 250 losses. Coach Boswell led his teams to 18 playoff appearances. In 2012, he was named the San Angelo Standard Times West Texas Coach of the Year and the TABC 5A Coach of the Year. Coach Boswell was a longtime member of TABC and served as its president in 2018. Before we hear from Coach, take a moment to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on social media at Jamodi Podcast.
Coach, what's going on, man?
Oh, just another day in the life of a brand new athletic director in West Texas.
Oh, how's that going for you?
It's going good, man. Cannot complain. We're in the second month of the school year, and we've got all sorts of stuff going on every week, as you know, and just getting ready we're hosting games tomorrow and big football game on Friday on the road. So everything's good.
What are some of the big differences that you have or you feel going from, maybe just being a basketball coach and worrying about your program to now the AD? You got all the programs.
Well, I tell you what, it's just a matter of, prioritizing my time, making sure that I'm out and about to support these programs, these different programs and sports and coaches. Being in a one high school town is awesome, to tell you the truth, because we're basically just self-sufficient in that respect. And I can just drive 5 minutes to the junior high campus and be back at the high school campus in no time. I'm not driving across town. But, basically it's just people think that, some of these jobs are 9 to 5 days a week. Most of the stuff that happens is after school hours, as far as games and contests, and it could be every day of the week. This weekend we've got a junior high volleyball tournament in town, so I'm going to go support them. So it's not just during the week; it's weekends and all hours. But it's fun. I mean, it's staying very close to athletics, obviously, and it's just a great time to be part of athletics in Texas high schools.
So you feel like it's pretty important for you to be visible at not just the high school sports, but also the junior high sports, right?
Oh yeah, I mean those coaches and programs deserve my attention. I need to be present as much of the stuff as I can be. I called the boys golf coach yesterday as I was excited. They're opening up the fall season on Friday and Saturday in Lubbock, but because of the home schedule we have, I can't make it. But I was looking forward to it. But sometimes you gotta just realize, you got to take care of the home contest first. And then, but, my district's been very, very accommodating. I'm allowed to travel to different events and do different things. It's just been great.
That's awesome. Now, I had the pleasure of having Coach Collin on from the Baylor women's team. And I had a conversation with her about, I went down to a Baylor game for the men's, and she was in the student section, right there with them cheering and stuff. And it was what she did, and then what you just said is a great reminder, I think, for us, maybe as basketball coaches where we don't have the athletic director title, maybe we need to look at ourselves more like that as far as giving attention to other sports that they think those sports are just as important as we think basketball is. And it's something I think I forget a lot.
Right. I've just been, I was blessed with coaches, to work with coaches, play for coaches, be in the same program with coaches that are all sports guys. I think sometimes we get pigeonholed into just being a sports specific coach. But the reality is at the high school level, we have to be multifaceted, and we have to be interested in other sports to show just professionalism, we talk about being great teammates with our players. We got to be great teammates as coaches. I mean, that's the bottom line.
That's a good nugget. Well, Coach, thank you so much for giving up your time this morning. And I've had the pleasure of, with TABC, getting to be in the same room as you and interact a little bit. But to be honest, I mean, I wanted this opportunity to get to know you better, because we haven't had that much one-on-one time, because I've just been so thankful for all the things that you've done for coaches in TABC over the years. So this is an honor for me, Coach.
Well, I appreciate the invite, man.
I always love getting to learn about the daily habits of successful coaches or leaders and guys in your role. So what are some things that you do daily that set you up for success?
You know, I think it's obvious that you have to be driven in some form or fashion. You know, that was instilled in me by my father and my high school basketball coach, Doug Gallion, that we have to be purposeful and passionate and driven to excel in whatever you want to do. And obviously my realm was, I wanted to be a high school basketball coach. And then, you know, 25, 26 years into it, I wanted to be a overall athletic director. So I think you have to wake up every day with a plan, a mission, and you have to be driven to the point where you're just going to be relentless in your pursuit of excellence. And that can be your daily routine, your daily habits. You know, I've chosen to be, you know, after reading all these John Gordon books, you know, I'm being ultra positive as much as I can be, because I mean, you know, if you can smile and laugh certain times, you know, at certain things, you know, just be joyful about doing certain things, I think it just creates a better atmosphere, more positivity. You know, coaching and teaching in this profession is very tough. You know, that goes without saying, but we just need to be focused on uplifting others while we're trying to navigate this path for ourselves. And we have to be, again, great teammates and just overall great people. You know, I had mentors, I've got mentors still, and we need to do the same for the coaching profession to leave it better than we found it. You know, that's one of my main goals, is to make sure that we're building this thing the right way, we're giving back to the profession the right way, and we're leaving it better than we found it.
I'm so glad that you said that. You mentioned, you know, being able to laugh at some things and being positive, because the interactions that I've had with you, like, let's just say we were in that board member meeting, you know, upstairs in San Antonio, and I'm sitting across from you, and I can't tell you how many times I've heard laughter break out, and you're just right in the middle of it, to where, like, to me, I always wondered, like, what is he saying that's so funny? Because you do seem to have it. So my question is that a natural gift that you have for humor, to bring humor? And I would imagine a little bit of sarcasm that I think some coaches have a knack for, it's good with their team. Or is that something that you really had to choose to bring that out?
You know, I think it's a combination. You know, like I said, I've been very fortunate in my career path. I've had some great mentors, you know, from the junior high school level into the coaching realm. And I'm just basically choosing, you know, positivity over anything else. I mean, life is too short. You know, that's a saying that a lot of people may overuse, but that's the reality. You know, in our profession, the days are very long, but the years are very short. So we have to make the most of it every single chance we get. You know, I went to Granger High School last Friday for our 25th anniversary of our state championship team. We won a state championship in 1997 in football, and, you know, reconnected with all the players and the coaches. But this player from Rockdale, who I'd had as a player in the early 90s, he shows up to the game. He didn't have to show up to the game. He shows up just to see me and Coach Velastro, and we reconnected with him. Then he posts this big thing on Facebook about, coaches, you know, your mission is so awesome. Basically, you know, be careful what you say, because the kids are listening. And if you speak truth into people and you show them that, you know, you can inspire them and motivate them to be better than what they were, you know, that's why we're here. And so that's just motivating for me to see that, because people paid it forward for me, and I'm trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, what a great reminder too, that I think sometimes as younger coaches, I feel like I'm right in the middle now. But, you know, 5-10 years ago, I think I was on that younger side of, And so often we're thinking about, man, what is it going to be like when I already am there? I hopefully have the wins, the success. That's a younger coach thinking, all right, the wins, the success. And we're trying to get to those steps, get through these steps as fast as possible. But great reminder just to slow down, be where your feet are, and ultimately value the relationships the most.
Right. Very true. I mean, because you're not guaranteed anything in this profession. We all want to win. We all want to be successful. Just like you said, when I was a younger coach, I might have been driven by, wanting to win that state championship. But the bigger picture is we've got to win every single day in how we connect and how we support and how we uplift people, whether it be players, coaches, faculty, staff, the strangers we encounter. I mean, I've got to be, very mindful of what I'm doing now in this role because, I'm driving a school vehicle 24/7, and people may think, oh, well, to me, I had to get used to that because it's got Andrews ISD on the side of it. So I've got to be very cognizant of what I'm doing, where I'm going, and how I'm conducting myself. And, when people say, every day's an interview, or, you're basically
always being evaluated. Yeah,
it is, and just trying to instill that into the people that we, come in contact with. I think we mature in this profession as coaches, and my goal now is just to make sure that we're trying to make, TABC the greatest, THSCA the greatest, TGCA the greatest, because athletics is so powerful in a positive way.
Speaking to basketball coaches out there, high school basketball coaches, what you mentioned those three, but go a little bit more into like, what should we be if we're really interested in growing and in building the relationships with other coaches? I mean, talk a little bit about what we should be connecting with.
Well, networking is one of those big keys. I love this saying, nobody excels alone. And that's the truth. I couldn't do the things that I was able to do in my career by myself. I was fortunate enough to be on a staff when I was an assistant with other great coaches that allowed me to mature and to grow in the coaching capacity. I tried to do the same as a head coach, trying to grow assistants, trying to grow players into better adults, better leaders, husbands, fathers, the whole 9 yards. We've got to do that, in my opinion, every single step of the way, regardless of what your role is.
Yeah.
My father was a coach, was a school administrator, was a superintendent. The way he treated people was awesome to see because they just gravitated to him. It's not all about X's and O's. You gotta gear things to the talents that you have, but it's more about, like you said earlier, relationship building, because we want to produce, future leaders of character, future leaders of significance. 5, 10, 15 years from now, when you have that high school reunion and they're calling Matt Saman back, to Grapevine Faith, you want those kids to show up and say, man, you were the best thing that ever happened to me, man. That's what it's all about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. So TABC, great organization for coaches to get connected to, but what are some others? And you mentioned too, just go into those a little bit also.
Obviously I've been a longtime member of TABC. I'm fortunate to be a past president. That's a passion of mine. I'm still trying to help them in ways, get coaches involved, joined, you name it. I'm also, getting really involved in THSCA. Every summer at the clinics, myself and John Hurst, we introduce basketball speakers at the big lectures. TGCA and Sam Tipton, what they're doing is phenomenal. They do a great job of encompassing all sports that, are relative to girls athletics. And then obviously, as aspiring athletic director, I joined and have been involved in the High School Athletic Directors Association. So, I just think it's important, and people may talk about, well, I can't afford it. It's a yearly membership. My school won't pay for it, whatever the case may be. Just like I always go back to this. If we tell our players and our teams, you got to do this, this, and this to be successful, we've got to do the same as professionals. and there can't be any excuses. Where there's a will, there's a way. So we've got to be compelled to do things like this, to join these associations and be active members to give back. It's like TABC. They just can't show up tomorrow and say, hey, we want a shot clock in Texas high school basketball. But if you're an advocate for it, come up with awesome solutions and concepts as to why it would be beneficial to Texas high school basketball. If you're an opponent to it, do the same in that respect, but do it in a civil manner. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, the presidential elections come along. Everybody complains, everybody does whatever, but are you a registered voter? Are you voting? The same with these athletic associations. Are you involved? Are you part of the conversations?
Yeah, it's like you don't really have the right to complain if you're not a part of the organization that's helping to make these things happen. Yeah, that's good.
Correct. That's one thing I love about THSCA right now. Joe Martin and Glenn West are doing a phenomenal job of not just being a football organization.
Yeah.
They're encompassing all these other sports and wanting to grow it because, they know their word is Texas High School Coaches Association. So they're trying to grow in every facet and every capacity. So get involved.
Yeah.
Why not?
TABC has been a no-brainer for me, but I'm thankful that you mentioned the other one, because I have in the back of my mind, I've just kind of thought, man, I think that's a football thing. And so but I need to get past that, and I need to be a part of the solution, not the problem out there.
Right. I mean, they're progressive. They're very innovative, and big things are coming.
Coach, I'm the goal today, and I mean this, I'm not just saying it, is to go get my athletic director's credit card and get those, because I want to get those memberships done. And I really do think that coaches do, and then ultimately too, it's good for our players, for us to be in that. Mono Watso with PGC said something I always remember as the best investment that we can make is in ourselves. The reason, it sounds selfish, but the reason he says that is if we're investing in ourselves and our growth and us getting better as leaders, that's going to directly translate to the people that we're leading. And so this is a way to me, I know the TABC membership. I know how cheap it is. You go a month without getting Starbucks coffee, you can take care of it. You can get it done. Yeah.
Very true. It brings me to this point. I spoke to a group of 7th grade football players yesterday. Andrew's 7th grade football players. And, after the little talk we had, probably lasted for about 10 minutes. I turned to the strength and conditioning coach and said, these kids are 7th graders. They probably didn't listen one bit, majority wise, but some did. They're 7th graders. And he goes, Coach, if you talk to these kids for 10 minutes a day, just imagine how many you're going to capture over the totality of the time that you talk to them. That's what it's about. You may not change somebody's mind in a 5-minute conversation, but if you continue to do it and do it in such a way that they can see all the value and all the, importance of whatever you're trying to do, that's where you make the impact. So that's why I have a little saying every day, that relentless mentality. If we want something, if we need to go get something, if we have a goal of obtaining something, that's what we got to do. Be relentless in what you're doing, and do not stray from the path. It's easy to say, it's easy to do, but the reality is, we're here on a mission. We're educators, we're coaches, and this is a significant profession, and we've got to do our best every single day to capture as many hearts and minds as we can in the right way.
Coaches, the Jamodi podcast is powered by Shoot 360. The future of basketball has arrived in Dallas-Fort Worth. Shoot 360 combines the latest sports technology with the fundamentals of basketball skill development. The result is a one-of-a-kind video game-like basketball program designed to improve your shooting, dribbling, and passing. Visit shoot360dfw.com to learn more and register for your free 1-hour workout evaluation. Shoot 360, the future of basketball is here. I love getting to talk with coaches like you you have 30 years of experience. So not just the things that you've learned, but you're also bringing with you all the people that you've talked to and that you've learned from. I can't imagine the rooms that you've been in, the coaches that you've been around, and the time you've spent with them. So What's some of the best things that you borrowed from other coaches?
I played for Coach Gallion. He was my junior high coach, and then he was my high school basketball coach at the big city of Ranger, Texas, on I-20. And he basically just instilled in us: you've got to work hard, you've got to be present, and live every day to the fullest. And when you get in this profession, do the same thing, and pay it forward, give back, you name it. He's a wise man, still doing it close to 40 years, if not more. We put this out on the Hardwood High that Matt Jones has, about your mentors and stuff like that. Mine's kind of unique. I've been very blessed. Every school I was at, for the exception of San Angelo ISD at San Angelo Central, the football coach was the AD. Okay. And I learned from a very early age, very, young experience, is you have to work your butt off. The football coach in some places may not really enjoy basketball, but if you connect and you have those relationships and you show those people that you're going to work your butt off and do the right thing on behalf of kids, the relationship and the rapport is going to be so much better. Okay. Coaching other sports may not be for all basketball coaches, but that's how a lot in our profession excel. And let's be honest, we're not all at the 5A, 6A level, just coaching one sport.
Yeah.
If that's your goal, go for it. That's awesome stuff. But surrounding yourself with the right people who have the right attitude, are trying to pull in the same direction, that's key. And now, going from having basketball coaches as mentors, which I still do, AD football coaches as mentors, which I still do. Now it's overall athletic directors like Stan Leach at Bernie, Philip O'Neill at Mansfield, Kevin Starnes, who just got the College Station ISD job. Those guys have been in the trenches just like others have, and they've got such great wisdom and advice. And so I reach out to them periodically about certain things. Rodney Chant, Mark Baker, just the whole dynamic. And it just keeps you in tune to what is going on. And in turn, you can keep connected to your coaches and help navigate things, because you walk onto a campus and, public education. And if you say, well, I've seen that before. No, you haven't. Things are always changing. There's going to be something new on the horizon, whatever the case may be. So we have to be prepared for that, but also able to, handle the situations, so to speak, and, think very clearly first without reacting. I think we've got to be proactive instead of reactive. Sometimes you have to be reactive, but, we've got to be very, very cautious of just, I guess, making decisions based on emotion.
Yeah.
As compared to thinking about the process, thinking about the consequences, what's going to happen, the whole 9 yards before we make decisions.
Yeah.
And ultimately in this role, just like if you were the head basketball coach, ultimately the decisions that are made have got to be impactful and supportive of our student athletes. And sometimes, coaches, people, parents may not see it that way, but that's the realm we've got to come from. That's the stand we've got to take. I heard somebody, this is Dr. Morath, who's in charge of the state executive committee. He had a great quote, and he basically said, when you assume a role like this, when you're in a role like this, and it's much like being a head basketball coach, you give up the right to be selfish because you're in the service of others, period, plain, simple, okay? And that's how I try to look at it every single day that I step into this role, is I'm here in the service of others. Therefore, I cannot be selfish. I know that's a unique mindset, and it's tough. Human nature, you want to have selfish things and thoughts at times, but we've got to ultimately be unselfish in this role. Just like if you're a head basketball coach, you've got to be unselfish, if that makes sense.
Oh, it does. It's convicting because I'm thinking back to first year me or second year me. Now I'm in 16 now, and Not that I've got it. I definitely don't have it all figured out. I like to think I'm better in building those relationships with, like you said, most athletic directors that we'll have are football coaches also. And football to them is just as important as basketball is to us. But ultimately, if we're territorial over our players, it's not so much that we are, it's because we want to win more. It's because we're being selfish. It's because we don't have, this is talking to year two me, we don't have our athletes' best interest in mind when we're thinking this way. So to me, Coach, that is such an important reminder, lesson that, man, there might be coaches out there that get to keep their job longer if they buy into what you're saying at an earlier time, might sidestep some landmines. And then ultimately they'll have, mental health is such a big deal today with players. They'll have athletes that feel the freedom to be able to play the sports that they love, that they're not letting anybody down, that there's no coach speak going on, that, man, I know they really want me to be doing this. So it's a huge lesson that you said.
Right. When I took the San Angelo Central job, very fortunate to get that position, 6A level. I showed up to the field house to watch football practice one day. I'll never forget this. And this kid goes, "Coach, what are you doing here?" "You're the basketball coach." I said, "I'm here to watch you, man." It's just about connecting with those kids, regardless if they play basketball or not. And that was not my focus to go there just to try to, get kids to play basketball. I wanted those kids to understand and know that I was there to support them as an overall San Angelo Central Bobcat athletic department. And I think that just went a long way. And we had success because those kids came to our games. They supported our basketball players, and it was just a great atmosphere.
All right, Coach. So question for you. Let's just say today after school, I wanted to go over there. What can I do to lessen? Because I think you're right. The reaction is going to be, like he's never does this. What's he doing? Because, Coach, I think that's how I would feel. On the flip side,
you just have to be.
If they walked in, hey, whoa, hey, we're not recruiting athletes during my practice.
Yeah,
we're not.
Yeah.
So I love that. Any advice?
Well, it's just the relationship and rapport you have with those other leaders. You just have to be very, very upfront with them. Say, "Hey, look, I'm here for you, as a person, as a coach, and I'm here for those players as a coach. I'm not over here trying to recruit your kids to play one sport or whatever. You know what I'm saying? We're here for the overall program." And I think if you just intentionally have those conversations, it's just going to be better. Danny Henderson did that at Flower Mound Marcus. He gravitated, to those other sports. He got his players going to football games. He got his players involved in other sports as far as, spectators, fans, and the whole culture and atmosphere at Flower Mound Marcus just blossomed. And I guarantee you he's doing the same thing now at Richland High,
I thought this might help if I am really, really wanting to do this myself, because it's something 16 years I've never done. I've never willingly gone out to a football practice.
And you know what? You know what I would do on Friday nights? I'd stand on the sidelines just to support those kids.
Yeah.
I'm going to do the same thing. Like it's funny, the administrators here say, "Hey, Coach, where are you going to be on Friday night?" I said, "I'm going to be on the sideline, man, rooting for the team. That's where I'm going to be." I'm just like tomorrow night I'll be on the sideline for the freshman JV games. If we're having a volleyball game, I'm going to be right there behind the benches rooting them on. And I'm not there to, interject my coaching philosophy.
Right.
I'm not there to question what the coaches are doing. I'm there as a fan and as a supporter, because those coaches will see it, those players will see it, and they'll appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I give them high five, shake their hand after the game, whether we win or lose. That's all part of it, because as well as I do, you've been in the college programs where it was at the lowest of the low. Yes. You've got to be able to handle, the low parts of the profession, coaching, games, you name it. You got to be able to handle the adversity and be able to grow from that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's all part of it.
I think my action step is going to be to either email or text or try to get our football coach, have a conversation, kind of preparing him of, hey,
Right.
what coach, what do you think about me coming out to a practice? And honestly, I love learning from coaches. I want to know more about, because I don't know a lot about football. I don't really know the ins and outs. So when I'm standing on the sideline at the games, I am clapping, but I mean, I just want to know more, and I want to understand, maybe get some golden nuggets on how you're doing things. And maybe if I approach it that way, he'll be more welcoming out, instead of, again, how I would feel if somebody just showed up and I didn't know and they've never done that. So I'm wondering if that might help.
Oh, that's completely true. You know the situation you're in better than anybody.
Right.
So that's a great way to approach it. You know what I'm saying? And just be honest when you're doing that.
So I think so often coaches have a favorite style I had a coach on that said, if you're not comfortable teaching the style that's best for your team, then you better get comfortable. You better learn it. But even though we're learning different styles of plays, and we watch, the national champion do something, we look into it a little bit, we all, I think, have that style of play that we gravitate towards. So when you were actively, coaching, what was your favorite style of play to teach?
I think it was easy for us, for me especially. I grew up in a program where it was motion offense. Tried to instill that when I was a younger coach, through all the contacts I had. But, the bottom line is we have to adapt whatever we're doing to the talent level that we have. We're not recruiting kids. We're not trying to get that 6'4" two-man, that 6'7" swing man that we can do this, that, whatever with. So we're just basically trying to adapt, our kids to whatever system is going to benefit them. So I've always been a proponent of, we're gonna teach fundamentals, we're gonna do skill work, but we're gonna teach you how to play absolutely harder than anybody else. That's where we had the buy-in, for kids, with kids. I got that little nugget from Danny Nix at Burke Burnett, the current new head coach there, James Mosley. He and I went to high school together. And their motto has always been MPH, which means nobody plays harder. If you can instill that in your kids through every drill, through every practice, through every game, regardless if you win or lose, because you're going to play teams that are better than you, you're going to play teams that are bigger, faster, stronger, whatever. But if you instill that mindset, nobody is going to play harder than we do. We're going to get every loose ball. We're going to take charges. We're going to dive on the floor. We're going to help our, teammates up when they get knocked down. We're going to run to win. Just every possession matters. You're going to grind it. And then when you do have talent, you can incorporate the little things that you're really good at. When I went to San Angelo Central, we were freakishly athletic. Really couldn't remember what to do as far as a motion offense is concerned. So we put in a lot of sets and we pressured the ball and we went up and down the floor and we won a lot of games, and then at the tail end of my time at San Angelo Central, we went from really athletic big guards to smaller guards that were smart to huge posts. So we had to change our game plan in a respect. So we went more of a matchup 2-1-2 zone. If you want to drive it inside, go right ahead. You're going right at our 6'11" kid. He's going to block it out of the gym. You know what I'm saying? But we went more methodical on offense, more isolation stuff. And then when I went to Flower Bluff, very blessed with some really hardworking kids and kind of played a mixture of both styles. Did a little bit more of a spread action on offense with some screening, and just went more man-to-man that we've been more accustomed to throughout my career, and just got into you and made you not really like playing offense against us. You know what I'm saying? But, to me, that's the fun part about teaching. I think young coaches, if anything, you've really got to be present and purposeful in practice, because that's where you make the most growth. You can't just be there, all right, we're going to do this for 15, 20 minutes, and then we're going to, do this, and then let's get ready for the game. Practices have to be your lab. You know that as well as I do. And
Yes,
you've
sir.
got to be intentional about what you're doing and be, mindful of progressions, schemes, opponents, you name it. Analytics is a big thing now. Uh, and just the whole 9 yards during practice so you can get your kids prepared. I had a young assistant coach and I was the same way. During the game, hey coach, why don't we do this? Well, have we worked on it in practice?
Yeah, let's not experiment right now. Oh, did I
Yeah,
freeze?
if we haven't practiced it, we're not going to be able to do it in
Yeah.
the game.
Yeah.
But if it's something we need to work on in practice to make us better, shoot, yeah.
Yeah. One thing that I love the NPH, nobody plays harder. But I think some coaches, I don't care what your acronym is or your belief system is, if you're only mentioning that in your pregame speech or during the game when the effort is drooping, you're not going to have that culture. It has to be something like you alluded to. It has to be something that's in practice that you guys believe in, that they're being reminded that the standards are being held when they're not doing it there, because that's the only way you have a chance to do it when it really matters.
Right. We've got we have an elite swim coach on our staff. Coach Waldman has been here in Andrews for 34 years, and he's competed, against 5A and 6A schools for the vast majority of that time. This is the very first year, 2022, 23, that 4A swim is by themselves. But he has grinded for years and been very, very good. District championships, been, first, second, or third in the region. Hasn't won a state title, but he is gung-ho because now we're by ourselves in 4A, which is still very, very competitive. But, he doesn't talk about state championships.
Yeah.
He doesn't talk about regional championships. He talks about we are getting our swimmers better every single day. We are competing against ourselves from yesterday. We want to be better tomorrow than we were today. And I think that's just something that just keeps you grounded. It's not about looking ahead. It's about the process you're focused on right here, right now. You know what I'm saying?
It's the burn your goals philosophy by Joshua Medcalf. Like if you have that audacious goal on the board of winning state, but you don't have the plan of what it takes to actually get there, and you're not taking care of those days, all of a sudden you get close, and that horrible feeling you realize is, I'm not prepared. I'm not ready. I've wasted time, and that's what we don't want as coaches.
Yeah, there's basketball coaches all across the state counting down the days of the first game or the first practice. Well, what are you doing right now? What is your plan today to prepare you for tomorrow, to prepare you for 2 weeks from now for that first scrimmage, for that first game? You know what I'm saying? That's where we have to be mindful. That's where we have to be purposeful and intentional.
And maybe a checklist for coaches is, if you ever felt like we're in second period athletics or whatever your athletic period is leading up to the season, if you ever feel like, hey, we can take a day, we don't need to be out there today. If you ever have that feeling, I think then the question is, well, why not? Like, why can you do that? Like, is the plan that you have and what you're doing every day, it should be so important that, fellas, guys, today is the most important day. Why? Because it's the next one. And if that's the philosophy, then I think your players feed off of that. And then it's that Alan Stein kind of, you start to brick by brick, you start to place good days on top. And then all of a sudden, man, we've grown in the last 2 or 3 weeks. But I think some coaches we can't wait to get there. We're going to start when we get there. When season starts, everything. What about today? That's a great reminder, Coach.
The Jamodi podcast is powered by Sideline Interactive. Sideline Interactive is the leading manufacturer for high-quality, innovative scoring tables and LED video display boards that help coaches and schools bring more excitement to fans, create huge fundraising opportunities, and make their jobs easier. Visit sidelineinteractive.com to check out their amazing products.
So I think we kind of hit it. So we have our style that we love, but then what if your players don't fit that? So I believe that I can already tell you are more, it's got to be player based over style based, correct?
Yes. And, we just have to be adaptable in coaching. At San Angelo Central, we had some really, really great teams, and we're playing 6A basketball with two very, very talented point guards that were 5'7". But those kids could go. You know what I mean? And I basically had to, let the reins go and let those kids trust those kids. They knew what they were doing.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I think some coaches like to joystick
Yeah.
their teams. If you prepare these kids and you show trust in these kids, they're going to come through for you. Sure, there's going to be tough times. Sure, they may not make that free throw or that shot or defend at the end of the game, but you know what? It's the bigger picture stuff. Show those kids that you're going to trust them, put them in those situations, and let them go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Coach, if you don't mind, I'd love to. I typically don't like to go into my own personal stories too much because this is about you. But I do think
it's not about me.
Well, but I want to learn more from you than hear myself. So, but I do think this may help coaches that. I was with Wes Watson at McKinney High School for 5 years, and with his guidance, we were able to get into some dribble drive motion, heavy skill work, shooting a lot of threes, and he pressed on the defensive side. When I got the job at Faith, I took basically our system and I moved it right over. And I do think it's a luck thing. It's a God thing. I inherited the right group, that they were athletic enough, skilled enough, smart enough. They believed in me enough that we just kind of caught lightning, in a bottle, and it worked. 82 points averaged a game and won and did some things. Well, Coach, I started to believe something that I think is dangerous. It's me. It's my system. It's not about the players. Like, I can do this with any player anywhere. And so the next year I kept the same schedule, went with the same idea, and we were 14-21. And those kids were frustrated because I was asking them to do things that it wasn't the best for them. And I had to take multiple seasons like that. And I apologize to those players whenever I see them, that they had to pay for my mistakes back then. And then you get to the point where, okay, this is who I have. I do like these concepts, but how can I help them to form to what these players do really well? So hopefully coaches learn from my mistakes rather than having to go through it themselves.
Right. And that's why I hope, if coaches are fortunate enough to be on a staff with, great people that are invested in each other, then those staffs can help, themselves by critiquing each other. You don't want an assistant coach that says, yeah, coach, that's awesome. Yeah, coach, that's good. Yeah, coach, let's do whatever. Yeah, coach. You want people to question what we're doing in a productive way to benefit kids. If something's not working, delve into it as why it's not working, and be very, very realistic with yourself. Be able to critique yourself. And like you said earlier, basketball has been around for a long time. We didn't invent the game. We didn't invent motion offense. We didn't, invent the diamond press.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So let's not get too hung up on that stuff. Let's be creative, about what we're doing to help benefit our kids and our teams.
Yeah, we got to be careful that pride doesn't take over, that we start to think that, it's, I was down at the state tournament with Tom Inman years ago, and it was only a few years after they'd won at Plano. And I said, Coach, how'd you do it, man? How'd you win state? Like, in my mind, that was just such an incredible feat that I just don't know. I don't see how it could happen. He said, Matt, listen, we're jockeys. The best horses win. And there is a part of that that's true. I think a good jockey could probably take a bad horse and do something good with, like, improve it, help it out. But if you're a good jockey and you've got the best horses, there's going to be some success there. So yeah, it's not about us as much as we like to think.
Very true. Very true.
You mentioned, as an athletic director now, being down on the sidelines, like, let's say, of a football game, those kids come off and they just lost. And so, but you're still going to high five them. That's the approach that you take. When you were the coach of the team and you lost, how did you handle defeat with your players?
I think it's one of those, as you mature as a coach, I think you get better at it. We're all driven to win. We're all driven to excel. It hurts. It's emotional when you lose, especially if you're playing an opponent that you should beat. But I think we've got to stay grounded in the fact that we cannot let our emotions get the best of us, and we cannot let our kids see us lose control. You know what I'm saying? And I think like you mentioned earlier, if we have those conversations within the program, the culture is being built in such a way where, you're talking about, okay, this is our goal, but there's going to be roadblocks in the way. There's going to be adversity that's going to hit. Such and such is on our schedule. These are going to be tough games, but it's going to make us better. It's not about if we win or lose. It's about us growing gradually in the right direction as we go. And I think if you handle those situations in that way, then those kids can learn from it. They can move on from it. You're not going to try to beat a dead horse, but you just have to be very real and intentional with those things that occur, and just be upfront and honest with the kids, saying, hey, and a perfect reminder is, in 2011, I'd coached this kid at Senton previously, and he was one of our stud football players, basketball players, and he goes and serves his country in the Marines. And in 2011, he is killed in action. So that changed me as a person and as a coach. It's not life and death. Sure, we want to be prepared. Sure, we need to be purposeful and passionate. But in the big scheme of things, this is not life and death. And I think if we control our emotions in such a way as to let those kids know, look, I'm going to be with you regardless of what happens. I've told many people, we've got to share in the sacrifice. You share in the success, but you got to be able to share in the sacrifice and in the struggle. If you're not willing to do that, then good things aren't going to happen. Great things aren't going to happen. You know what I'm saying? We can't all be front runners.
Yeah.
And I think we've got to do a good job of controlling that as a coach. Sometimes you may win every game, but it's how you treat people. Are you humble? Are you hungry? Or are you boastful and arrogant? You know what I'm saying? And we know that nobody likes those coaches that are boastful and arrogant, especially if you coach against them. You see that. Our kids cannot have that attitude. You know what I'm saying? We're going to have the bulldog. We're going to get after you bulldog mentality. But at the end of the game, we're going to respect you. And we better have played our butts off so we can respect ourselves and our teammates. You know what I'm saying? So that's how we try to approach everything. We were fortunate to go to a state tournament when I was an assistant at Rockdale. We won the region after getting second in district. Had to win a playoff game just to get second in district. So we kind of got on a lucky roll there and just kept going. And we win the region, and then we run into Clarksville back when Clarksville was the real deal at the 3A level. And they bounced us in the state semifinals. You know what I'm saying? So we're on a big time high, and all of a sudden we get bounced. But the reality is we're the state semifinals.
Yeah.
An awesome experience. You know what I'm saying? That nobody can take away from you. Did we achieve our ultimate goal? No. But, we were there. Those banners are still hanging in that gym in Rockdale. So you have to just basically understand the whole dynamic. You may not win every game. You may not win a state title. But what are you doing on a daily basis to positively impact all around you? Because these kids have got to be able to navigate the good and the bad and the ugly. And you've got to be able to help them do that by how you handle yourself. You know what I'm saying? If they see you walking in with a bad attitude and hey, coach, what's wrong? Everything okay? If you got a scowl on your face and you're not upbeat, then how are those kids supposed to be upbeat? You know what I'm saying? You're in intense college practices. College coaches want those high energy guys. That is tough to do on a daily basis.
Yep.
But you know what? You've got to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
They can't. It's like you got a poker face. They can't tell what hand you've got, but you're going to be 1,000 times behind them and supportive of them, and just to be a positive force. So that's kind of rambling, but
No, it's good. That's good. The word I took from it is consistency, because you said it real early on, and then that's what you were talking about. Think about practice. I think in practice, we have them for, let's just say, an hour and a half. We want them to be consistent during that hour and a half with their effort, with their attitude. We want them to have a next mentality. And a lot of times I think in practice we do. It's a 3-possession game. You're going to play here, go here, play here. I am okay with a team's mistakes and defeat because we're teaching through it. Why? Why would I change? Because it's a magical time of a Tuesday night or Friday night. In that game, there's going to be possessions, and our players are going to be trying to do the right things, but they will make mistakes. Because of that outcome or the result, do I change the coach that I am? I think difficult for players to be around that, where in practice you're saying one thing, but then in a game it's different. And so I think that's a great reminder for us to be consistent with what we want them to see every day.
Very true. Very true.
30 years of coaching, and you're still around it with the athletic director role now. If you could go back, what are some things you would do differently?
I would just try to be, more relationship based as a younger coach. I think when I first started in the profession, man, I just wanted to move up as fast as I could, try to win as many games as I could, try to, get skins on the wall, so to speak. I would just go back and just be more relationship based and say, hey, you know what? Things will take care of themselves because I'm going to work hard and do things the right way. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
I think too many times some coaches may see what it looks like on the other side, trying to get that big time job or, moving up the A's, so to speak. Hey, just be where your feet are,
Water your own grass, right?
Yeah,
water your own grass.
Be engrossed where you are with what you're doing, because that's the most important thing. Those kids and that team that you have right there now is the most important thing. And don't forget that.
Coaches, the Jamodi podcast is powered by Ballology. What's your BSA score? The Ballology Skills Assessment is the only verified skills metric endorsed by the NAIA, NJCAA, and a growing number of NCAA coaches to discover and develop the best talent for your team. This 4-minute, 40-shot test can be taken free today on the Ballology mobile app. Elevate your game. Coach, the speed round.
Uh-oh.
Favorite.
Does this come with cash money or what?
So, quick questions. First thing that pops in your head.
Okay.
Ready? Favorite ice cream flavor?
Oh, chocolate chip.
Yeah.
Baskin Robbins, baby.
Let's go. How many hours of sleep do you need?
Oh man, I need about 8 or 10, but I don't think I get 8 or 10.
It's rare that somebody says they get how much they need. Interesting.
No.
Best basketball movie of all time?
Oh, it's got to be Hoosiers, without a doubt.
All right. The 99% of coaches that say that, it's still there.
Coach, I'll make it. I'll make it.
Chills. Chills right there. Question though, why are we going away from him to begin with?
Say it again.
Why were we going away from Jimmy to begin with? Why weren't we designing something for Jimmy? Like it's your best player in that moment. Like, come on.
Well, he's thinking they're going to put their best player on him, and he may not get over.
I understand that. We have to get our best player though. Are you not getting Jordan the ball at least so that he can either shoot it or distribute it? Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I love the moment though. For high school, shot clock or no shot clock?
Me personally, if I were a basketball coach, I wouldn't want it, simply because I may not have that team that can compete. But if the shot clock comes into high school basketball, everybody's going to adapt.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? It's all about, is it going to progress the game? If it does, great. Then it'll progress the coaching.
Do you think it will?
I think it will. And I think it will eventually, because, even Oklahoma's putting it in at the end of 23, I believe.
I think SPC's trying it this year, if I'm not correct too. So they might be the guinea pigs in Texas, but
right.
All right. Texting or talking?
I'm a people person, so I like talking more than texting. Even though some people say, all you do is text. I'm trying to keep in contact with coaches.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
So, favorite holiday?
Christmas.
In basketball, who is the GOAT?
Oh man. Talking about player or coach?
Ooh, I like it. Let's go player first.
I grew up in the late 70s, 80s. I love those Celtics versus, Lakers matchups. Larry Bird or Magic Johnson or Michael Jordan. I can't just go with one.
Yeah, that's fair. And you know what I love about Larry Bird is listening to pros in that time talk about him, what it was like to face him. I think that's a good measuring stick for how amazing a player was, is when the other players are like, he would, if the other NBA players who are also great are saying that he was at a different level.
Right.
There you go.
And the reason I wanted to wear leather Converse shoes is because of Dr. J. I'll be honest with you.
Nice.
Man, that dude was awesome.
Yeah. Favorite GOAT, who's the GOAT for coaching?
Whew, that's a tough one. There's so many great coaches. I'm a Michigan State fan because my father and brother went to school there, so I like Tom Izzo. You can say that Coach K, but there's so many great coaches at every level. And that's tough. That's a tough one to say, man.
It is. Favorite city in the U.S. besides the one that you live in?
We went to Ketchum, Idaho one time. That was an awesome place. We went up there for a bachelor party. That was a pretty cool place.
Awesome.
I'd have to say just simple, San Marcos, Texas, man. Beautiful place.
Yep. If you could travel back in time, what period would you visit?
70s, baby. I would be a disco dancer. I love that music, man. I'm telling you.
So you're in the office, you have some music. Do you ever pump any of that out for all the younger coaches to get? You got to educate them.
Oh yeah, 70s and 80s music is the bomb.
Two more. How many cups of coffee do you drink per day?
I try to just this one big thing. Just try to have
one cup, 1 gallon cup.
But I must admit I love coffee. I've been drinking it since I was a young person, and it just kickstarts my day.
You drink it black?
No, sir.
Oh,
it's got to be milky brown.
Okay.
So,
all right. A little sweetener. What you and Wes Watson? He one of the things he taught me was, Matt, if you want to be a head coach, you drink your coffee black. So
really,
that's just what he taught me. I think it's a little more of a joke. But last one: Godfather, Star Wars, or neither?
Star Wars, hands down. I can still tell you where I was, how old I was when I saw the first Star Wars. 1977 in Houston, Texas. I was with my parents, and when that door opened up, those stormtroopers came out, and there was Darth Vader. I was hooked.
Let's go. Now, did you dress up when you went, or do you remember?
No, but I will tell you this. I'm a big 80s music fan. I love the Spasmatics. October the 22nd in Abilene, Texas, they're playing at Pelosi Live. I will be dressed up like one of the Spasmatics.
It's fair. Man, I'll tell you, this has been such a pleasure for me because, like I said before, with TABC, I've been around you in the same rooms, walked past you, but haven't had a lot of time to get to this one-on-one to get to learn more about you. And man, it was just such a pleasure for me, Coach.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate what you're doing and, everything that you've done. And let's keep growing the profession, man.
Yeah. And also, while you're here, I just want to thank you for your being president of TABC, everything that you've done. That organization just means a ton to me as a coach. And I hope other coaches do sign up and become members in private school or public school. Just join this this brotherhood or this fraternity of coaches that we have. It's special.
Yes, sir. I couldn't agree more. It's great stuff.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the Jamodi Podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.